Okay. Just checking that we're up. Give us a sec. Internet's taking its time. Come on. Do you know what? It'll probably come up on my phone before it comes up on anything else. Let's see. Not a sausage. Let's see. Let's go dashboard. Yep, we are up. Just check the audio. Okay, audio's spot on. Happy days. Yep, maneuver that. There we go. Hello. So, might have already seen Rogear's video. He recommended that we do something like this, just a bit of getting to know the person behind the character type of deal. And I thought I'd take a leaf out of his book and just stream it for ease, because I cannot be asked editing videos. It just takes ages. This is easier. So my name is Grant. Most people know me as Brains, and on the actual game I play Vince. Yeah, everyone knows me as Brains, though it's kind of odd when someone actually calls me Grant. Allegedly, it's because I kind of look like, where is it? It's going to be that way. This guy here. Allegedly, I don't see the resemblance, but that's apparently why. For anyone who doesn't know, that is a character called Brains from an old show called Thunderbirds. It's an old puppet thing. Whole big thing. I am 26, had to think about that. I live in Northern Ireland, which is part of Britain. Some people argue that, but it's a whole big thing. So technically, it's part of the UK. I work in IT, which I believe is actually different than what people in America seem to think IT is. My wife, I'm married, hello. My wife used to work for an American company, and they seem to think that they were IT related. They were security, pen testing things, and they didn't consider themselves IT. They considered the guy who did the actual network stuff, you know, plugging in the switches and routers and stuff like that. They considered that was IT. But whereas in the UK, at least, I know IT is a lot broader. It sort of encompasses anything to do with computers, sort of thing. So that's just, I heard that. I thought that was a bit strange. So whenever I say IT, it's I do a bit of networking stuff, but I work for a consultancy company, so I do what my boss tells me to do. I'm working from a bullet point list here of stuff that I need to go through. So if I forget anything and come back, bear with me on that. Let's see, hobbies. Yeah, that'll be a good one. Everything. I do all sorts. I'm very much a jack of all trades, master of none. I do enjoy building things though, like making things out of wood mostly, but I also do a lot of stuff with electronics. But well, for example, I made Vince's staff, which, oh dear God, is far too big to get into frame. Knocking over things there. So yeah, I made Vince's staff. Not long after we actually started doing the stream, I couldn't picture what his staff looked like in my head. I could picture everything else about him, but just not his staff. And Shinto Genesis, he sent a picture through of just some artwork of a staff, and I quite liked the look of it, but I wanted to change a few things, and I really can't draw, so I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna go make it and build it and see how it comes together, and it turned out quite well. Yeah, looks good. I might change the colour of the crystal on the top of it. It's green at the minute. I'll probably change that to red. Seems more fitting for the way Vince has become a sort of fire orientated character for some strange reason. I don't know how that happened. So yeah, I like building things. I also currently I'm building a robot for Robot Wars. It's a TV show. It's actually been cancelled, but I'm hoping it gets picked up again by another channel. It's basically like BattleBots in America, if you know it more, or if you know Robot Wars. So I'm building that. A friend of mine keeps saying that I should YouTube me building it. I might. I don't know. It slows it down so much. Something that would take 5 minutes then takes you like 20 by the time you set up a camera and get audio, or if you dub the audio on at the end, it can be a bit awkward. Actually, I'm going to minimize this because I'm looking at myself in the feed more than the camera, and I've been told I should look at the camera, so it's away now. I can look at the camera. Yeah, I'm also into radios. I actually worked with radios for about 7 years ish, doing various things, and currently going through to get my amateur radio license. I quite like modeling antennas, and I don't know, I find radios quite fascinating because a lot of people seem to, I don't know, miss the connection between radio communication and modern day technology. They seem to think, whenever you think of a radio, they seem to think, oh, the thing in your car that you listen to, or walkie-talkies. Actually, I had a conversation with a group of guys that were pen testers, computer security for anyone who doesn't know, and they were asking why I was so interested in radios and the likes, and I said to them, I was like, well, I'll tell you what. Have you ever hacked into RF communications, radio communications? I'm like, no, I haven't. So, right, okay. Have you ever hacked into Wi-Fi before? And they're like, oh yeah, definitely, yeah. I said, right, keeping that in mind, think about the first thing I asked. And I sort of got the point across that actually, if it's sent wirelessly, like any communication that's sent wirelessly, it's radio. It's on the radio spectrum, and it's so easy to intercept and capture. Use a thing called an SDR, which I do not have to hand right now, but it's actually, essentially, something like this. All this is a Arduino, which is a microcontroller, but this is the actual communication thing here. With something like this, you can lift radio traffic out of the air. This one's for UHF, and I'm not going to bore you to tears with the UHF and all the rest. If you want to know more about it, then by all means send me a message, poke me. Like I say, I might video the build of me and the robot, and if I do that, I might do some radio stuff as well. I don't know, we'll see. But I just find it so interesting that just if it's wireless at all, like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, your phone communication, various things on the phone communication, actually even near field, NFC. So if you know the contactless payment, that's radio. That's a radio communication. So I just find that stuff very very interesting. So yeah, next thing on my list is how I got into D&D. And that's a bit of a weird one. Most people that you talk to about D&D, they're like, oh, you know, when I was really young, I played it, and you know, it was hard to find people to play with, but then I got a good group of mates and stuff like that. I didn't really. I didn't actually get into D&D until I was probably 18, 19-ish. I used to work in a shop. It was a stationery shop, and I did a bit of graphic design, and I also fixed computers, and it was a whole big thing. But while I was working there, I met Optic, the one of the players in the group, and I met him there, and me and him hit it off, and we got talking, and we became good friends. And I think maybe a couple of years after that, I was nosing around with D&D, but I mean, before that, before I met Optic, my friends were, I don't know what the word to put it would be. They weren't exactly the gaming type, you know. They would go out and get drunk and stuff, and I would a bit too, but I liked my games more than anything. So whenever I met Optic, and he introduced me to a few of his friends, and we became a nice group of friends from there. I ended up buying, I think it was 4th edition D&D. I got the starter box set, and me, Optic, and the rest of us decided would get together at his house and have a few beers and have some nibbles and try it out. And we did it a few times. It was good. It was mostly me and Optic DMing, sort of interchangeably. I was okay at DMing back then, but we were having a few drinks, and as the night progressed, I got progressively more drunk, and it got to the point where I was forgetting where things were on the map. And so we had this running joke that it was a magic room where the doors and windows kept changing locations because I kept forgetting where they were actually meant to be, and they kept moving whenever they were in the middle of a fight. And it was a whole big thing. We didn't do that too many times. I think 4th edition was, well, it was 4th edition. At the time, I didn't know any difference between any of the editions. I just went, what's the most recent one? I'll get that. And yeah, we did it a few times. We had a few games, but it didn't really stick as a recurring thing that we wanted to do. And then myself and Optic, we found a guy who was willing to DM for a sort of small group. So it was me, Optic, and another person who would occasionally drop in and out. They wouldn't always be there. And I think it was for Curse of Strahd. And we did that for a few sessions. It was a more recurring, once a week, I think, or every other week. I can't remember exactly. We would go down and play a bit, and that went well. And I don't know what happened there. It was one of those campaigns that just sort of stopped. Yeah, I don't know. It just was stopped talking and arranging. Okay, we're going to come down at this time, and it just sort of seemed to stop dead. So I never actually got to finish that, which is a shame because I love vampires and werewolves and that whole gothic area. So I think I'd really like the Curse of Strahd, but just getting someone to run it again and do it. And since I've found D&D Beyond, it seems to be very much the case of you have to be a DM willing to run the game to actually get people in any way interested. There doesn't seem to be as many DMs wanting to DM a game. So that brings me nicely on to my next point, which was how did I get into the group, or into this particular group. And it was pure fluke. I was looking on, I think I tried Roll20, and I also tried a few Discord channels trying to find a game because I just wanted to play, and I thought, over a webcam is fine. Before that, I'd always been, oh no, you have to be there and you have to have a mat and everything else. But the Curse of Strahd campaign, what little we did of it, it was all theatre of the mind, I think they call it. No boards, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So after that, I thought, I'll try webcam. I'll try over a stream, and from that, I started looking into, as I said, the Discord, Roll20, and D&D Beyond. Whenever I first looked at D&D Beyond, I sort of dismissed it, and I cannot remember for the life of me why. No, I don't know. There was something that just threw me off and went, oh no, I'll come back to that one. And so then I went on to Roll20 and Discord chats. Roll20 was okay, but there was a lot to get around, and I wasn't too sure about it, and I didn't want to invest a whole load of time in something that maybe no one used anymore. So I then fell back to the Discord one, and I joined a few Discord servers. Are they servers? Yeah, I'm gonna call them servers. I can't remember what they're called, but a few Discord groups. And my God, they were so full of rules and regulations and everything else. I tried reading them, and my eyes bled. It was ridiculous, and I went in and I thought, right, okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'll go to their one-shot section. I thought they'll probably not be as strict there, it's only a one-off and away you go. I'll check that out and see, and I've seen a few people that were running them, and I was chatting to a guy, and he said, yeah, you need to submit your character to another page or another part of the server where obviously they're, I don't know, maybe that's where the DM gets them from, or whatever way it worked. And so I went in, I did that, and went on to actually on D&D Beyond. That was where they recommended you build the characters and then share the link. So that sort of got me back into D&D Beyond. So I did that, made the character and submitted it, and the fucking wave of shit I got from it, just, oh no, you can't use this because you need to use this bit, and you need to use that, and you can't use this thing, but you can use this, but you need to use this, and that, the other, and you'll go make it again. And it was just so much things. I was like, okay, I can change all that, but that's not the character I made. You know, it's like, okay, I can change that, but then it's going to be just this generic person that you've essentially told me to make, and I couldn't get out of him. It wasn't even the guy who was running the one shot; it was the moderator of the group. They said that all their characters had to be made to a certain standard, and I could understand sticking to a rule set, like, you know, okay, no homebrew stuff, or you know, no critical role stuff, or something like that. But I couldn't get any guidance from them on that. I said, okay, what can I use and what can't I? And they said, oh yeah, no, see the rules section, and then again it's paragraphs of shit. And essentially it was, you can use this stuff, but you can use homebrew things, but only this list of homebrew things, or you can use critical role stuff, but only this list of critical role stuff, unless you've got the. It was just so messy, and I was like, nah, fuck this. It's not fun at this point. And I think that one of the real fun parts of D&D is making a character and making them come alive, and I thought that just robbed the experience. Just you're sticking to such a rigid guideline. For example, Vince just started off as a wizard because I like wizards, but then I rolled his stats, and the way I rolled him was kind of weird. Instead of, you roll the d6 and take the highest 3, and that standard way of rolling, but I just did it one at a time. So I went strength, okay, I rolled his strength and assigned it to that, then went right dexterity, rolled his dexterity. You know, I didn't get all the numbers and then assign them. I like doing that just because it gives a bit more uniqueness to the character, and that's how we ended up with the buff wizard, because he just had massive strength. That was one of the highest rolls. And so I thought, well, actually I can work with that. I can make him like he's got a sporting scholarship with a magical university, and there's a lot of stuff in his background that hasn't actually been disclosed, and I don't know whether Rogue Gear's actually going to use it in the campaign or not. He might do. If he does, could be quite cool. But I think everyone else has loads of backstory stuff as well that'll be really interesting if and when it comes out. So yeah, I like that sort of more coming up with the story of the character, and a lot of those Discord servers were just really sucking the fun out of it. I think D&D works best whenever the rules are there as a guideline, but they're not fixed. You know, you can tweak things and maneuver them to make it play better and help the story and the characters sort of flow in a bit more of a organic nature. I think so, anyway. So that's it for my list of things here. I do have another thing somewhere. Let me pull that up. I did have it up at one point. It's a list of questions specifically relating to D&D. So they are. I did have this up, but I must have closed my bloody browser. Well done. There it is. Okay. Yeah, it's the 30 Dungeon and Dragons challenge. Why do they call everything a challenge? I don't get this. Everything's a bloody challenge. Answering 30 questions is not a challenge. Anyway, side tangent. So number 1 is how you got started. I've already said that one. Favorite playable race. I don't really know. I usually play as a human, but I wouldn't say they're my favorite. It's just, I don't know, familiar. That's usually my go-to. I have made a character in the past. It was actually for the Curse of Strahd playthrough, who's a dwarf, and yeah, I really like him, but it's more the character than the class, or than the race. Yes. Yeah, I don't know, I'd say humans just because they're sort of my go-to, but there are plenty of interesting ones out there. Goblins, I really like goblins. Now I don't know, depends on your DM whether they're a playable race. I don't know whether there's actually anything in any of the expansion books that allows you to play as a goblin. That would be an interesting one. I do like goblins, but I'll come on to them. I think they're later on the list. Favorite playable class, wizard. I love a wizard. Yeah, I just love a wizard. Second to that would probably be a cleric, because clerics just are fucking awesome. They can kick ass and heal you afterwards. They can literally kill you, resurrect you just so that they can kill you again. You can't beat that. Favorite game world? Probably Curse of Strahd, if that's I can't remember the actual name of the area that you're in. Is it Strahd? I can't remember. It's been a while. The world in there, just a sort of dark gothic shit happening. Yeah, I would say that. Favorite set of dice? I actually only have the one set, which are those ones there. Yeah, I bought them whenever I first started playing D&D, and I've had them since. The only casualty is I've lost my percentile dice. I don't know where it's went. Favorite deity? Kind of like Kalimvor. Quite like the sort of his, the balance of life and death. Kind of a bit like a Anubis, I think. Yeah. Favorite edition? Probably 5, but then I've only ever played 4 other than 5, so yeah, probably not for comparison there. Favorite player character? I quite like Vince. Vince is interesting, but then so's the Dwarf Grimhook. I actually have a couple of characters that I've built for one-shots coming up, and I think they could be quite cool. Just gonna pull them up here. Oh, by the way, I can talk for Ireland, so I mean this could drag on for a minute. Just saying. I think the time to beat was Rogue Ear's half an hour. Yeah, there we go. So I have a halfling who I haven't really got a story behind him yet. I have Ted, the half-orc fighter who carries around a fuck-off maul, and I sort of picture it like if you ever played or seen pictures of Bloodborne, the Kirkhammer, the big fucking like tombstone thing. That's what I pictured that as, and he's thick as champ. He's just so stupid. He's like the stereotypical orcish fighter, just fucking hits shit. Should I spoil this? It's not really a spoiler, I suppose. I think I'm going to be using him in the next one shot that Nim is running. I did want him to originally be a Goliath, but they're fucking huge, and they're not liked by the general populace. So I was talking to my upcoming DM about it, and she said maybe not a Goliath. I was like, that's fair enough. She did give us instructions on to keep to the player handbook, and a Goliath is not in the player handbook, so I was chancing my arm there. But I actually think a half orc will work a bit better, because she agreed to give him an item called a lucky potato that he found is just a potato that he can use once a day to give him advantage on a roll. But I sort of worked it in there that he didn't really know that it was lucky at the time. He actually thought it was just a rock and picked it up and thought, that's quite a big rock, I can hit things with that, I'll keep it. And then eventually worked out that that it actually can give him a bit of luck. So that's Ted. The other one that I've made, who's sort of fleshed out, is Walter, who is a half-elf warlock of the Great Old One. Because I love a bit of H.P. Lovecraft and that whole cosmic horror shit. So I wanted to make him like, he's just fucking insane. So he's got all this power from this unspeakable being, but getting the knowledge and seeing the cosmic horror drive him absolutely bickies. Like he is just up the left. I'm looking forward to playing him at some point because I think he'd be quite interesting, but I don't know how the hell to play an insane character without it being really annoying for everyone else, you know. I was thinking of like assigning maybe a list of reactions and stuff, just vague things like, you know, does he react normally, or does he go off his tits, or does he act violently or whatever, and just assign that a number and just rolling each time and just make it random. I thought that might be a way of doing it, but I don't know. But I thought he was quite an interesting character. And then I have Grimhook, who I've spoken about, and Vince. Yeah, favourite out of them? Probably Vince so far. That's only because I think he's the one that's had the most playtime, as it were. I've had a lot of throwaway characters. Favourite planned PC? I'm actually going to go with... I don't know what way that question's meant to be interpreted, but I'm assuming for like the game that I ran, the wizard. I can't remember his name. Nope, cannot remember it. The young wizard in the game that I ran, where he was sort of, you know, a bit unsure about everything, and like, guys, can you maybe not? He was quite young and stupid and wasn't really that powerful, but thought that he was because he was in a town of farmers. I just liked him as a character. Craziest experience. Fuck, yeah, that's a good one. Oh no, yeah, I thought of one. So we were playing with a guest friend of ours. Not going to say her name, just in case she doesn't want it on this. But we were playing with her, and I was DMing, and I did the stereotypical you start in a dungeon. I think they started in a dungeon. They might have done something, got arrested, and then ended up in the dungeon. I can't remember. But for whatever reason, they were chained up, and she was playing a mage, and Optic was playing a rogue. And it said to Optic, you know, you're chained up, but having years of experience being locked in prisons, you've managed to strategically hide a lockpick. Bearing in mind they are stripped down to their underwear, basically, in here. They've got no kit on them or anything like that there, so where he's hidden it, I'll leave to your imagination. We'll call her Vivian. That's not a real name, but we'll call her Vivian for the shits and giggles. Fuck, she'll kill me if she knows I'm calling her Vivian. Jesus, hopefully she doesn't see this. So Vivian heard this and had... she was a wizard, so she had mage hand. So she used mage hand and thought, right, okay, I'll try and break his manacles or something. Tried that, didn't work. So she made the next logical step, which was to go rooting for the lockpick. So a series of natural 20s and very high rolls later and very low rolls on Optic's part, she managed to retrieve the pick from his ass. And she then tried to use it on the door, which was in the gate. I don't know why she went to that first, but she went to that, and I said, oh, okay, but you don't know how to lockpick, and you're using a mage hand, so you're just fumbling around, not much happening. So then she eventually gives it to Optic. At this point, I pointed out that he didn't tell her that that was up there. I told him that he had it so that he could add it to his character sheet. Now, to be fair, she probably should have passed him a note, and then he could have gleaned whether to share that or not. So I said, in the context of the actual scenario, what happened was yous were chained up, and she decided, I'm going to root around in his ass with my magic hand. That was the context within the game. Without having any outside knowledge, that's what happened. So the rest of the campaign, or the rest of the game, it was a one-shot. Optic was trying to kill her. He kept like pushing her through doors and areas where he didn't know what was going on. There was an area where there was like a symbol on the ground, and he just said, yeah, let's find out what this does, and shoved her in. Yeah, that one was an interesting thing. We never got round to the end boss because they were too busy pissing about trying to kill each other. It was all good fun though. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but yeah, that was a weird one. Uh, craziest or favorite adventure? The one that we're currently on. Thoroughly enjoying it. Favorite dungeon? Don't really have one. Favorite trap or puzzle? Again, haven't really. Well, there was one ran by Optic. It was a trap. I was playing a character called Waldo, who he was a wizard, and he was the curator of Where's Waldo invisibility cloaks that went out of business because no one could find the shipments of the invisibility cloaks because they were invisible. And he was sort of like a lecherous, bitter old man. He had other things about it, but to keep this safe, we'll not get into those. And on that game, they had it that there was like a tomb, as you do, and we went into it, and there was like a thing on the ground. There was a series of plates and stuff, and I think it was like a try and work out the correct sequence. But the people that we were playing with were not problem solvers, or well, they did solve the problem, but just not puzzle solvers. I vaguely remember that they just fucking charged through, and I think it caved in the entrance. I think one of us died. I'm not sure. So that's the only real puzzle trap I've actually ever used or ever been a part of. So yeah, I don't know whether I could say that's my favorite, but it's the only one I have. Favorite NPC. I don't know. I'd have to draw from the current campaign because it's the only NPCs I can actually remember. It would have to be the Orc Slayer. He's him. What a guy. Actually, tell I know the guard that takes all of the shit from Gemini. Just fucking hates us, him. Favorite undead monster? Vampire. Fucking love vampires. Favorite aberration? There's one. It's fucking weird. Let me see if I can find it here. It's like a pile of eyes or some shit. It's like a corpse. Near enough. Actually, is it undead? No, I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure it's an aberration. I believe it's got a fairly low combat rating. Let's see. Helps if I pick aberration, doesn't it? There we go. It's not the aboleth. That's a whole different fucking thing. Gazer. There it is. Gibbering Mouther. That's the one. It's just in fact, I wonder, can I capture that so you can see? You know what? Fuck that. Just cause issues, so well. Yeah, the Gibbering Mouther. It's not that threatening. I mean, it can do decent damage, especially at a lower level. But its gibbering effect is the key one, and you would need to tweak it a bit. And I think that's what I like about it is you can change it because it can actually mimic voices, and so you could have it like, you know, in the bottom of a cellar, you could hear, you know, someone crying or someone in distress, you know, and you could use it as a lure to get people into awkward situations. You know, they get in there, and next thing the Gibbering Mouther is just this amorphous blob that falls down behind them, and other creatures are in there, and next thing, poof, you're in a fucking trap. So I like it for that sort of role play element that you can use it for. Favorite beast? Werewolf. I think that's classed as a beast. I'm gonna say it's a beast. Immortal. Don't really have one. Elemental plant. No. Dragon color. I think the green dragon. I quite like him. Favorite monster is actually kind of like the Revenant, just because of the role play capacity that they can have. I'm not going to get into why, because I actually have an idea for a campaign side quest thing involved in one of them, so I'm not going to get into that. The rest of these, I don't really have. Apart from favourite cursed item, I like cursed items that can really change the way that you use an item. So like more homebrewed style cursed items. So actually, if the one shot that I done, where I added like a downside to using them, I really like magic items like that. Where my favorite one actually was optics, box of invisibility that he could get into, but I made it that whenever he gets into it, it's so heavy that he can't move it. So it's things like that that just change the way that you can use an item. Favorite weapon, magic, always. Although if talking physical weapons, mauls. Yeah, mauls are just amazing. Favorite spell. Yeah, I really like necromancy, so possibly raise undead. It's always a good one. Best DM, Ruger, has to be. He's yeah, he's very good. He's very good. And that is me out of questions, which is good because my throat is cutting up. I got it. It's the insanity. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, what he said. It's the insanity. I don't know what that's in reference to. I don't know when he sent that. So, it was a message from our lovely Master of Flowers who joined us on our last one shot. So that is me out of questions anyway. For the Gibbering Mother, yeah, the Gibbering Mother is amazing. I like it as well because it sort of feeds into the like H.P. Lovecraft thing. You know, just these. It actually kind of reminds me of the. I'm going to butcher how to pronounce this. The Shoggoth, we're going to call it, just this unspeakable horror that just not a fun time. But that is me out of questions. If you have anything else you just want to ask me, join the Discord and ping us a message, or so other than that, I shall see you on Wednesday for the next game. See you soon.